Hello, everyone, and today I got to see the movie The Eye in the Sky because I was actually I would say I was anticipating this movie, but I was quite eager for this. And when I saw the trailer, I'm like, that looks interesting. The cast looked great. It looked interesting. Things with all the drones in it. I'm like, interesting. I want to see that. And I love modern military movies like Zero Dark 30 and last year's a 71, even though that's not really based on a recent thing. That is in 1971. But that's not my point. My point is, military and war movies are one of my top two favorite genres alongside sci-fi and fantasy. And for the essence of it, I was anticipating this movie. And Eye in the Sky is essentially about this drone controlling team back in America. They're controlling the drone striking kills in like the Middle East and in Africa, and this was like based on taking out this group of assassins in Kenya. No, I wouldn't say assassins, they're terrorists in Kenya, and that's essentially the main part of the movie. It has like I checked on Rotten Tomatoes. It's getting some really good reviews. Do I agree with the critics or not? I'll be honest, I'm mixed as a whole. I'm more leaning towards that. Yes, it's well made. It's very well done. But I do think at the very least, in my perspective of the film, I just seen it today. I have an abundance of problems, but here's what is seriously good. Number one, Helen Mirren. She's really good, even though her character isn't really that late or anything, or that in depth or interesting. She always gives excellent performances. She's one of the best living female actors alive, to be honest. The late and great, and unfortunately passed on Alan Rickman is in this movie. He was really good, I admit. He was very good. And, yeah, that's what I really liked. I will say Aaron Paul probably he took it, I thought he was a bit too melodramatic. He was a bit too serious, in my opinion. I don't know why. He was a bit too serious, at least. The narrative, the ideals, the metaphors, the real ethical, moral questions of how we break boundaries of that in other countries. Is it our right or not to do that in other countries? We don't know for sure. It's interesting. It's thought-provoking. And it brings up a really great discussion about whether you like this film or not. It's like, it really brings up a certain question out for its own sake, and I think it's very interesting and very smart for that. I think it's a really interesting movie. Well, also, like I said before, the premise, the ideas within it are very fascinating and they're really, really interesting. It's a beautifully shot movie, I'll tell you. It's gorgeous. Its editing, its score is just amazing. The score itself, it feels very omniscient. It doesn't feel too loud or cinematic or anything like that. It feels very calm, very subtle, kind of like in a Fincher or Cronenberg film, where the music will kind of have this uneasiness or dreariness to it. It won't have such a big, grandeur feeling like Star Wars or Jurassic Park or whatever. It's much more calm and a bit more omniscient, like a Cronenberg film. So the soundtrack is fantastic, and the editing, even though I'm not... okay, I don't know why I said editing. For the record, I don't know. And that's all really good and really interesting. It really brings up some really interesting questions and addresses the lines between ethics and morals of war, of course. And like I said, the cinematography when they do shoot in Kenya and other places in the Middle East and Africa, those are beautifully shot. The cinematographer, I don't know who it is, freaking amazing. I love the cinematography in this movie. I know it sounds really prestigious or whatever the word is, but I just really love the cinematography in this movie. It's just beautiful. It was very, very interesting. It was filmed with a certain intensity, but not too in your face like a freaking Michael Bay film. But it was done in a clever, very very, very cautious way of directing the film, and I really admired the film for doing that. With all that said and done, I think there's some two big problems with this film. Number one, okay, before getting to the problems, another good thing is that I'll say the first 30 minutes, I'll say, is pure solid gold. Like, seriously, the first 30 minutes is great. It's really, really great. I'm sorry, I almost had a hiccup there. But after that, everything feels different. Not in a good way. I feel like some of the characters are really underdeveloped, particularly Aaron Paul's character and Helen character. Again, they play it good. They're great actors as always. But I feel like their characters aren't that motivating or interesting or engaging to be with. And after a while, I thought they were just boring. I wouldn't say boring, but they weren't interesting characters. As much as I love these actors, I really do. For the vast majority of the film, you're completely 100% aware it's them. You're not playing an actor. I know we can't hold that against them, but it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just, I couldn't get past some of the acting. I wasn't, it's very, very interesting. It's complex to talk about, in my opinion. The two big problems with the movie, in my opinion, is this. Number one, the pacing. After the first 30 minutes, like I said, you think for the characters. The story takes this really heavy, powerful focus on, do they take the shot or not? What's going on there? Do they have any confrontation? And at a certain point, I just threw my hands up and said, why should I care? I don't. It's interesting, it's thought-provoking, but I just didn't care for a subject matter, especially for me. At a certain point, I just went, why do I care? I don't care. And I shouldn't be saying that, because I love war films, and when there's war films, there's always a metaphorical, ethical line of drawing, why do we do this? Why should we do this? Why should we do this or not? There's always a certain gray line area there. But, again, it's like, it's something about it really doesn't push me all the way through, or it doesn't feel anything new. It feels like a rehash of all the... Actually, I will say, it does feel like a bit of a rehash. There's some certain strong elements they borrow from other films, which I don't blame them for, but some of them I'm just like... And my biggest problem with this movie, for me, at least, is it's boring. It's, you know, first 30 minutes, really interesting with the sound. I really thought it was great. After that, 30 minute to an hour a minute, okay. After that, I just wanted to leave. I just didn't care at all. I was so bored. And I shouldn't be bored. This is one of her movie genres. And I just didn't find it that's one of the biggest problems with this movie for me, at least. I just didn't find it that riveting or exciting or enthralling. It's like, push the button, oh no, I can't, it's not. All that, and it's kind of like, at a point I'm just like, why should I care? And that's a big problem. I don't know if that's the film, that's my problem or the film's problem, I don't know. But for me, that was a huge, huge problem, at least. And at a certain point, I thought, my other biggest problem with this film is the tone feels very flat, very boring, and like that. It just wasn't that memorable as well. I wish it was doing something really unique here, but it was like all drum strikes and all the metaphors, and I'm just like, you know, it depends if you like this film or not. This film is right up my own freaking alley for me. I love war films. How many times can I freaking say that? I freaking love war films. I really do. But this film just felt boring and not that interesting for a good majority of it. Like 3/4 of the film, I didn't find it that interesting. And as a whole, for me, that's a really big problem. And in the end, that's just my review. It's really hard to say if there's any good or bad. There is a lot of good and bad in this movie. But which one overruns, and I think it's more well made than it has problems. I'm sorry. Okay, it's really well made, it really is, but I think the problems are still so apparent, in my opinion. And in the end, and that's just my opinion with the movie. I am misguiding everyone. Take it for what it's worth. Oh yeah, the rating. I've forgotten that in some of the last previous videos. I do apologize for that. I'll give this movie 65%. It's very well done. It's beautifully shot with interesting effects and morals going through it. It's really great acting. But I just think it has so many problems, especially in the memorability and when it's offering something new or not. And as a whole, I think it might be it suffered for that. And I give it a 65%. No, I'm going to reduce it to a 60%. Thank you for watching, everyone. As always, I'll see you in the future. Till then, for more videos. Till then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the future. Bye.